very dangerous sport, and Supercross is even more dangerous.
The biggest challenge for the pit crew is to be prepared to deal with anything that comes up on very short notice.
This is what separates the men from the boys, that's for sure.
Supercross is motocross racing taken to the extreme. It is highly competitive, extremely dangerous, and one of the most exciting forms of racing in the world. Derived from its grassroots outdoor cousin, motocross, Supercross events are always held at night, inside super domes with live music, big money corporate sponsorship, and national television audiences. Motocross races are held outdoors. The tracks are wide, and the races are 35 minutes long. Supercross races are only 15 minutes in length, and their tracks are tighter and narrower, making them more technically demanding. Only the best riders in top physical condition with an unquenchable thirst for adrenaline make it to this level of motocross racing. Each high-flying, man-made indoor track is created specifically for each mega event. This weekend, 60,000 screaming fans have come to the Montreal Olympic Stadium to watch the best riders in North America do battle for $45,000. Big money for professional dirt bike racers. In both Supercross and motocross, professional riders run in one of two classes. MX1 is the bigger 450cc dirt bike class, while MX2 is the smaller 250cc class. This summer, after a 3-month season of outdoor motocross racing, one team clearly dominated Canada's National Motocross Championship Series. Here in Montreal, Team Blackfoot Honda is riding high after completing a series that saw them take the top 3 spots in both professional divisions. MX1 national champion Dusty Clatt, multi-time motocross champion and snowcross superstar Blair Morgan, and MX2 Western champion Jimmy Nelson are certainly the poster boys of the Blackfoot team. The men behind this superstar team are the pit crew. With the Canadian motocross season now wrapped up for another year, Blackfoot team manager Joe Skid and his crew have assembled in Montreal for this one-off Supercross event to help the team win the cash prize.
Montreal race is really cool. It's probably the most unique race in all of Canada. 50 or 60,000 people, fans in attendance. I don't even know how much it holds really, but you get 60,000 Frenchmen just screaming. It's probably the loudest race I've ever been to.
This is the last event of the year for the Blackfoot team, and with $45,000 up for grabs, the pit crew has to have the bikes prepared for peak performance. Supercross is all about preparation. These specialized high-performance bikes are so well set up before they even reach the track that they rarely need more than a dusting off and a tire change prior to a race weekend. Pit crews are minimal, traditionally one mechanic per bike. With little mechanical work to do at the track, the crew often act as both personal mechanics and trackside coaches.
Motocross is largely about the rider. Once the bike is set, the rest of it's up to the rider. So things that could be going on today that aren't would be different gearing changes. I guess because we've been to this racetrack with these Hondas, for 5 years in a row, we've got a solid baseline, so there's a lot less guesswork going on. We know what kind of dirt there is because every year it's the same dirt, and we've been testing with suspensions, so we know what the settings are there. So basically a lot of the work is done ahead of time. Biggest challenge for the pit crew is to be prepared to deal with anything that comes up on very short notice. There's not a lot of time in between events. If we had any sort of mechanical failure due to a crash, like it's a pretty physical world out there. It's a tight track, a lot of bikes on it. Could easily get run over, lose a radiator, bend some handlebars. It can get ugly mechanically. And you basically have to be prepared to deal with anything on short notice, and it means that you've got to have your wits about you and understand where all your spare parts are and the fastest way to get things back on track.
My personal mechanic is Anthony Turner. Not only does he just work on the bike, he just knows like jetting and just the way the motor works and suspension. He actually has no suspension franchise, so having somebody like that to be your mechanic is a bonus. And like there's so many people involved, behind the scenes. It's they don't get the recognition like the riders do. We're out there, we're getting all the TV time and stuff like that, but there's just a lot of guys behind the scenes helping us out.
I look after all the administrative duties of the team, back in the office on the finance side, and also dealing with sponsors and riders and coordinating all the efforts to make sure that everyone arrives at an event such as this on time and with all the equipment needed, and make sure that we deal with all the logistical issues as they come up on a regular basis. His luggage might not even show up today, right?
Yeah.
So if his luggage doesn't show up today...
Okay, so we need to take Jimmy down there right now to try the boots on, and we probably have a set of knee pads as well. So.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
I'm a truck driver.
No, yeah.
That's your van?
That's the van, but they're gonna tow it right away if you don't go in the...
I'll deal with it.
One of our riders came from the U.S., Jimmy Nelson, and he had problems at the airport last night, and they lost his bag. So obviously it's pretty important when you have a helmet on your head, boots on your feet. So we were rushing around today, but we were able to find a local dealer that were able to hook us up with a pair of boots that we use, as our distributors nowhere near Montreal, so we'd never get it here in time. But the boots are in a cab and on their way here.
Basically, so far today, we've basically unloaded, set up shop down in the pits. Today, there's just going to be 2 practices consisting, I think they're only going to be about 10 or 15 minutes each. So I don't even think we're going to set it down there. We'll probably just base ourselves out of the trailer and just bring the bikes down when it's time. This year, we brought to Montreal with us Dusty Clatt. He is our new MX1 champion as of this year. So he's here running the number 9. We've also brought with us Blair Morgan. He's on the number 7 machine. Also on the MX1 is Jimmy Nelson. He's running the number 42 machine. He is our MX2 number 1 West champion. He is riding the MX1. And we got a new rider, Brady Sharon. He'll be with us running number 611.
I usually take a little walk. We get the riders out. Obviously the riders come and look at lines, but what I kind of look at is try to see if there's anything in it that might be a safety concern, such as a corner that may be coming into another one too tight, or lines that look like it's a very high speed technical section with another one right beside it where someone could go off the course and interfere. So you look for certain parts of the track that could cause problems, more of a safety concern rather than a technical concern. The riders are looking at it from different lines to see, where can I go here and there, but we look at it from mainly safety concerns and things like that. So there's always something you need to be looking out for, because sometimes things need to be looked at from a rider's perspective, and a rider can usually deal with some stuff, but then there's some parts that just straight out aren't safe. So. You can see up into the mezzanine area, they kind of go off into the back, and then they come flying back out of here. So it's kind of unique. These are called rhythm sections here. So there's a lot of different lines and options for the rider, whether it be double in, triple in. So this is where they would walk and take a look at the different lines and see in their mind what would be the smoothest and fastest line through a different obstacle in a section. So there's different ways to look at it. Sometimes what may be the fastest isn't the safest, and all it takes is a little bit of mistiming for them to be out. So that's where the judgment's called into it. You'll probably see a lot of 1, the passes, and 2, the crashes in this section here, because of the fact that there's so many different various lines that you can actually approach this section. And this is what separates the men from the boys, that's for sure.
It's currently 10-1. Practice is starting in about 10 minutes. I got to set sag on the bike. I gotta wait for the rider to come to me and get on the bike with all his race gear and everything, his full weight while he's gonna be out on the track. That's what we need to basically set the sag, the race sag, or it's basically a preload, so we can compress the spring so it works properly for him while he's out on the track. The sooner he gets here, the better it's gonna be. Mechanics are just glorified babysitters. Just gotta set your sag. Jeff, you got a sec to hold the handlebars?
These aluminum framed dirt bikes are so light that a rider's body weight has a major effect on how it handles. At this level of pro racing, the suspension on each bike is adjusted just prior to each track session. When a rider mounts his machine, the suspension will compress under his weight. This is called the sag. Sag takes up the suspension travel, that is, the suspension remaining to absorb bumps and jumps. To compensate for this, mechanics adjust the stiffness of the rear shock so the rider's weight will create less sag and leave more suspension travel for the rough terrain. It's part science, part black magic, because if the mechanic removes too much sag, the bike suspension will become too stiff, turning one finely tuned piece of machinery into a bouncing ball.
Okay, we'll start off with that. Qualifying system for today, they're taking lap times with the transponders and they're going to be eliminating a few people. So the people that get eliminated obviously are going to be sitting out for the rest of the weekend, and the rest of the people will be riding again tomorrow. During practice I will be basically there to make sure the bike is cool. If anything needs to be set up or changed, I'm there to do that, so I got my tools with me.
We're just getting ready for our first free practice. Start to shake down the original bugs. This is the first time we've been on a Supercross track since the spring. So we've got one guest rider on our team. We've got our veteran Dusty Clatt, and we're just about to go out and see where we stand with the practice. We're going to be looking for suspension balance, engine performance, engine response, and the ability for the guys to get around the track as fast as possible. It's a big package. We're going to be looking at all of it.
Practice for the MX2 bikes serves two purposes. As this class has no qualifying sessions, riders' fastest laps are recorded by the organizers and are used as qualifying times. Practice also gives the riders a chance to learn the track and find the fastest lines around it. A Supercross track is tough, fast, and because it's man-made, can be very technical. The Blackfoot riders are all well-seasoned motocross riders and are used to outdoor tracks with their wider lanes. The Blackfoot riders will try to make the most of all 4 practice sessions over the next few days to get accustomed to this more challenging racing environment. Each year, there are only 2 Supercross races held in Canada. These are one-off special events that attract the best competitors from all across North America. Number 9, Dusty Clatt, who usually rides in the bigger MX1 class, has chosen this weekend to ride in the MX2 class as well. This gives him double the track time over his competitors. Dusty is hoping this extra track time will give him a jump on the rest of the competition. Also on track is Brady Sharon. He's been invited by Blackfoot to ride this event on a tryout basis. Clearly, he's giving it his all. Also on track is the kid, number 611, Brady Sharon. Brady is working through a minor suspension setup issue, but it does not slow him down for long.
Everything went quite smoothly. Dusty, I think, turned in the fastest lap times there. Brady, who's our guest rider, he had a few issues with his suspension, which is one of the components on the bikes that's not taken care of by our team just because of this special arrangement. Anyway, we managed to make a few adjustments to Brady's bike to make him a little bit more comfortable. He was having some issues in the whoops. And we made a small adjustment and brought it forward a little bit, discussed the situation after the practice, made another small change for the second practice.
As soon as the MX2 practice is over, it's almost immediately time for the MX1 session. The mechanics busily prepare the bikes. The engines must be thoroughly warmed and the sag set. These MX1 high-performance dirt bikes are the top class in motocross racing. Only the best riders in the country have what it takes to compete in this category, and the cream of the crop ride for Blackfoot. Number 9, Dusty Clatt, is now on track for the second time today. This time on the bike he used to win the CMRC National Championship. On this big gun, he is the undisputed top dog in Canada. Number 7, Blair Morgan, is 10 years Dusty's senior and one of the most seasoned riders on the motocross circuit. Morgan's skill and experience make him a consistent contender at every race.
Blair's a solid rider. He's definitely a seasoned professional. He's got a method for dissecting the track and taking care of what he needs to do to be prepared. We're looking definitely for a strong top 10 finish out of Blair.
Clatt's lap times are at the top of the heap when suddenly things take a turn for the worse. Supercross is the most physically demanding sport on the planet. Not only do you have to ride each race flat out for 20 minutes, but you have to be able to shake off the pounding your body endures each time you ride.
Did anybody see that crash take place? What happened to him? Yeah, Joe, I saw just the tail end of it. He just kind of clipped that last jump with the front wheel, kind of high-sided.
The first MX1 practice, all three of our guys were in the same session. Dusty Clatt had two separate little incidents. One was, he called it just a stupid mistake, where he clipped a wheel off of a jump and ended up on the ground, scratched up his belly a little bit. Doesn't seem to be much more serious than that. And the other thing is, in one of the corners there's a solid cement pylon that's there to mark the inside corner of the track. And at the time it was unprotected by any hay bales or rubber or anything like that. Normally tomorrow the track will be much further prepared than today. So I suspect tomorrow there'll be lots of hay bales or tires wrapped around the cement pillar. Today there wasn't. He tipped it into the corner. His hand came in contact with the cement and the lever, and he's got a pretty sore finger right now.
The fucking hit the cement barrier and the fucking hose on my hand.
Okay, how about your ribs?
Oh, ribs are fine. It's just scrapes. Yeah. Yep. I'd tell you if I was in bad pain.
Other riders basically did their laps, felt comfortable with their bikes, and everybody's feeling good, looking forward to the next practice. There's no real intense personal rivalries. Like, it's not Dusty against Jimmy. In fact, they're in there discussing how to get through the whoops together. So I think for our team, it's a team. We're a group of guys that work together to try to go as fast as we can, and I think most of the guys, as far as the riders go, accept that whoever's going good on the day gets the position. And for sure, it's way more beneficial for each of them to work together than to try to oppose one another, because you're stronger in numbers, you know. And with that kind of respect in the truck, the guys, you know, it's not dangerous racing together. You're going to get a fair deal, and we're, you know, with three guys on the line, we're the biggest team out there. And it's way better to have 3 friends than 3 enemies. You know, there's enough enemies out there. So you see more cooperation here than you would, let's say, in other circumstances.
With 2 practice sessions now complete, both the riders and their machines have been refueled. And it's time now to go over this morning's results.
Come on, Jimmy, pin it.
That's the only difference.
Yeah, 1 minute.
It's from 59.2 to 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, so
You put one hot one. You put one hot one in.
Yeah.
And then
This off the start?
that. No. That and that off the in the whoops. If you did the whoops, that's 1 second for sure. Guaranteed a second, if not 2.
Yeah.
So if you need, just, I don't know, to where if you feel comfortable, just follow someone through, or I don't know, just try it.
I'll just try. I was getting better towards the end.
Yeah. But don't think about it. Just shut the brain off. And that's what I do every day at 8 o'clock. No, you're doing good though. That's not far off at all. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
And then for 250F, guys, we got Darcy Lange with a 1 minute, half second, and Dusty's like 0.4 of a second behind that. But the thing is, Dusty's second fastest lap is almost a second lap faster than his. So he was putting them in consistent with the 250F. And then we got Brady is at 8th at a 104. So he's basically 4 seconds off. So that's where we're at. He's just getting used to the bike and stuff, so it's all good. First one doesn't really count for too much, but we're all there.
Today's a pretty casual day. It's actually the first time in the 5 years that we've been here that there's been a Friday practice. Normally we just come in on Saturday and do the whole thing. So today's pretty casual actually. It'll be a continuation of the same, just more looking at the suspension. The track's going to be a little rougher now. There's been quite a bit of activity. We'll go down in a few minutes, see what the track's like, and deal with whatever comes our way.
Yeah, you're doing good, man. You look really good out there everywhere. So. I guess just like Dusty, maybe talk to those guys about.
Yeah, I was talking to him.
What's that?
So I was talking to him about some stuff.
He'll be fine. At least you know that the suspenders will hold you up.
Yeah. The bike feels good.
Yeah, you feel good?
I feel good everywhere except for the whoops, and that's just me, it's not the bike.
Yeah. Okay, well, good.
Hey, you look pretty good out there, actually. Thank you.
In the last MX2 practice of the day, Team Blackfoot continues to dominate the field. Pit crew keeps a close eye on how the riders are dealing with the more technical sections of the track. Tomorrow the landscape will dramatically change, as they will be facing off against several American riders that have far more Supercross experience. The team needs to get the pace and timing down pat before tomorrow's main event. MX1 practice follows immediately, and the Blackfoot riders are on pace and flying high. Blair Morgan seems to have found his groove and shows how years of experience can sometimes be more of an advantage than the brash aggressiveness of youth.
Wow, that's awesome. 4th. Good for you. Exactly.
So we got 3 guys in the top 6.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That'll do.
That'll do. That's something to write home about.
We have a really good idea of where we stand against the competition right now. Jimmy Nelson is 4th fastest, which is a better result than I expected. In the MX2 class, Dusty is a second clear of his next competitor, so things are looking good there. In the MX1 class, Dusty is 1/10 of a second behind the leader, which is one of the Americans that they brought up to try and win the thing. And Blair Morgan is 6th. In the MX1 class, we've got 3 riders in the top 6. And our guest rider, Brady Sharon, in MX2 is 5th fastest, so we've got 2 guys in the top 5.
These riders are ready. I'm just going to take them back to the hotel right now.
Okay.
Get them all prettied up and stuff.
Yeah, you better do something about yourself, too.
Tomorrow morning will more or less be a repeat of today with more practice sessions. The program, the show, starts at 7:30 tomorrow night, and they pack everything into the show. All of the qualifiers are in the show, and then the main events are the show. So between 7:30 tomorrow night and 10:30, it's all going to happen in both classes. So things are going to be moving along at quite a pace.
It is race day, and the Blackfoot team have moved their pits to the underground paddock located in the belly of the Olympic Stadium. Here, the teams have set up temporary work areas to prepare their bikes for tonight's main event. Though the entire Blackfoot team is focused on tonight's race, there is something else on their minds. Their lucrative 7-year corporate sponsorship deal with Honda is coming to a close.
Blackfoot's been together with Honda from a racing point of view for 7 years, and for whatever reason Honda's going to steer their boat a little bit differently next year, and the racing isn't going to be as big of a program for them, and so our contract hasn't been renewed for next year, so this is effectively Blackfoot's last race with Honda. Regardless of the future, we're under contract to succeed at this race, and that's what we intend to do. It's part of the contract, so we're here in full colors with lots of bikes, and basically in racing you're only as good as your last race, and we fully intend on leaving our mark and coming out of this hopefully with a couple of wins. When they come past the mechanics area, there's a left and then there's a right, and there's a rhythm section there with quite a few different combination possibilities, and that's where Dusty is going to be creative, let's say.
Dusty's got a lot of BMX experience. He's actually a pro caliber BMXer, and his BMX experience lends to his creativity on the track, and I think you'll see him reinvent the track a little bit. Jimmy is quite new to this motorcycle, and yesterday with him getting fourth was pretty impressive. So if all goes well, he stays right there or maybe even goes forward a little bit. Blair is a pretty steady guy. He's definitely going to be working on his speed. He'll probably do it in different ways than Dusty will. Blair will be looking at his lines, he'll be working hard on the brakes, and he'll be looking to be consistent. He's going to be pushing for lap time, and I wouldn't mind having our guys be 1, 2, 3 by the end of this session.
The MX1 class will have one short practice session today. The riders randomly select a gate to get a feel for the surface in the starting area before taking a final opportunity to learn the track's technical rhythm section. The boys from Blackfoot go to work. Dusty Clatt has amazingly managed to pick up his pace from yesterday. At 21 years of age, Clatt is in prime physical condition for Supercross racing. Strong, fast, and agile. He's finding solid lines around the track and has managed to conquer the bike-swallowing rhythm section, while others continue to crumble under its sheer size and complexity. Blair Morgan, as predicted, has put his years of experience to work and has dissected the Supercross track from every angle. His lap times today are not quite on par with Dusty's, but still he's ranked solidly in the top 10. Even young Jimmy Nelson seems to have conquered his new 450cc Honda and is in contention for tonight's MX1 race. This means all the Blackfoot riders will be competing in tonight's main events. With all of the Supercross practice now wrapped for the day, the riders and their pit crew head back to the pits to reflect on what they've learned. During a Supercross event, the pit crew's job is to not only make sure that the bikes are running at their peak performance, but also to make sure that the riders are doing the same. Though he's riding very well for his first time on the bigger MX1 machine, like many riders, Jimmy Nelson is his own toughest critic. As a result, it's up to pit crew member Dean Thompson to make sure that Jimmy's in a positive frame of mind for tonight's final race.
That's the way it goes. Dial it in, get it done. So main thing is now we got a couple hours, we got a 3-hour break, and go back out there at 7 o'clock for the main show, and Dusty's got the section dialed in, so we got it. The other boys are tripling in and looking pretty smooth, so it's all good. Mission accomplished. Yeah, exactly. Oh, pretty much.
As race time approaches, the hardcore Supercross fans take the opportunity to tour through the pit area and take a behind-the-scenes look at what happens in the makeshift pits. As the clock counts down to the race start, the risks associated with this sport are never far from the minds of the pit crew.
Dangers of a moto? Well, just last year I saw a guy die right on the track. Geez, he came off a jump and got a little squirrely and crashed due to it, but everything's happened so fast in motocross. By the time they were able to get a yellow flag out, another rider was coming over the same jump he did and landed right on him. Motocross is a very dangerous sport, and Supercross is even more dangerous, I have to say, because everything is so technical. You know, there's a lot of jumps. You don't have time to fall asleep, you know, snooze even for a second. You have to be 100% mentally there.
During a Supercross race, the mechanics use a pit board to communicate lap times and position within the field to their riders. Jimmy Nelson's mechanic is new to Supercross and needs to be debriefed on tonight's game plan.
We'll coach you along, buddy.
For the pit board, it's our only communication with the rider. There's no radios or anything, no communication with the riders. So it's the one time per lap that the rider gets information. The type of information that he gets depends on what's happening. So the pit board is really, you fly it by the seat of your pants. If you, for example, when Blair was riding tight, it's if you spot it, get it on the pit board in time to tell him to relax, loosen up. There's a countdown of laps because it's only 6 laps out there. Also to let him know what position he's in. Like obviously when Dusty caught everybody in and passed for the lead, he knew he was there. So that, but for him to know that he was in 12th and how many guys he had ahead of him, then he was in 6th and then he was in 2nd. He needed to know that stuff. So it's information that you prioritize as the race progresses.
Final qualifying for the MX1 race is tonight's show opener at the Montreal Supercross. The competitors will be divided up into 3 heat races, and only the riders that finish in the top 10 in their heat will be able to compete in the MX1 main event. This do-or-die qualifying format in MX1 only adds to the pressure Jimmy's feeling.
Dusty and Jimmy are here to have a look at their gates also. Pretty fair gate. Gate's pretty fair all the way around. That one's right there in the middle. Hey, did you ditch those funky goggles with the wings on them to the old style? Because it's those ones that always let the dirt in. You might want to think about having the other ones for the main event.
Yeah.
Because it's those that are the
I was
chronic
in a rush
ones.
to get down.
Huh?
I was in a rush to get down, so.
Yeah. What do you think? They're all pretty fair, huh?
Yeah.
I think you're better off over here, even if there is a crowd beside you, but you know what? Now's the time to try. You know, main event. That's a nice straight shot, and it gives you a chance to line up a little bit on the angle also. So that's not a bad thing for sure. I'm going to see what I can get away with here on the other side of the gate and see it just to make sure that there's nothing too greasy. They're probably going to attack me here. The dirt is perfect. There's no issues. There's nothing too greasy.
Riders are back to the gate.
Yeah, it's all set. There's nothing too greasy on the other side.
In the first MX1 heat, Blackfoot riders Jimmy Nelson and Dusty Clatt will be facing off against more than 30 other competitors for a starting line position in the main event. These qualifying sessions are short, fast, and furious. This is definitely a make-or-break proposition.
Jimmy. P11 for Jimmy, P11.
Both Jimmy Nelson and Dusty Clatt have qualified for tonight's MX1 final. Dusty took the hotly contested heat race, finishing in first place, while Jimmy finished 10th, just squeaking into the final.
Hey Pete, make sure Dusty eats something. He's on the MX2 at 9 o'clock, but he's got to keep his food up, so make sure he gets a banana or something into him.
In the second qualifying heat, it's Blackfoot superstar Blair Morgan's turn to strut his stuff. This weekend, Morgan has been consistently strong in his practice sessions, but now the pressure to perform is very real.
They're holding each other up. Sorby's all over Blair though. Nice to see Blair move up. Blair's on it, man. He's on it. He's left Sorby.
Blair Morgan placed 10th in his heat race as well. This despite having crashed while out of view from his pit crew. He managed to remount and catch the rest of the field. 10th is not where Morgan would have liked to finish, but it's good enough to put him in the starting gate for tonight's big final.
Oh man, the hardest couple laps. So slippery.
You're running 12 in that?
It's really loose. They worked it up a lot. It's no harbor park patch.
Different now. And they're going to redo it at the intermission also, so it'll be loose again. So.
Yeah, that front tire's not cooking up at all.
Okay. Fuck. You were ahead of him when you kind of went down, right?
The front end just pushed right off.
Yeah. Well, it was a pretty aggressive move because you're going to the inside, right? And you were on the gas, but anyway,
They're
good
all
job.
like right there, hey?
Yeah. Oh, you caught up big time, and you like in one lap you gapped Sorby like 4 seconds, and you were right there. So good job. Looks good for the main. I'm a little bit of a crusty old bastard because I've actually been doing this for 20 years. So I was actually a mechanic for the rider that won this event in 1986. So I guess that's probably one of my strengths, is the fact that things happen in slow motion a little bit for me, so I don't get that excited about too many things, but it's a gas. Like the show itself is, you know, you got 54, 55,000 people going mental for the show, and the guys are riding great. You know, I've got the highest profile team with the best riders. There's no question that it's satisfying, you know. It's, that part of it's really cool. But as far as getting the job done goes and all that, it's kind of another day at the office. Yeah.
We're going 6, 7, 8, 9. Better get going outside here. Oh, dude. We got it anyways. Good job.
The Blackfoot mechanics now have a very small window of time to go over the bikes before tonight's big race.
We're going to check the spokes, check the tire pressure, bleed the air out of the front forks, fastener check. Basically everything's ready to go, no real changes to speak of. Just check things over, making sure everything's good for the race.
We're just about to start the 125, or better known as the lights, the MX2. Depends on who you talk to class. So basically it's the 254-stroke class. We have Dusty Clatt and Brady Sharon are two riders in this. This is the main event, so it comprises of a 10-lap main event. So we're feeling pretty good. Dusty just went out and won his qualifier on the big bike, so we're feeling pretty good, confident about it. So we're looking for good things. Main thing, obviously, in a short race like this is the start. So obviously, we're focusing on making sure that we get out of the gate in front. So we take a hard charge for the first couple laps, get out front, and just ride our own race, and hopefully be up on the box at the end of the day.
Before each final race, the Supercross track is groomed and watered. For the competitors, this means that the track conditions can be very different from the last time they rode it. It is the pit crew's job to scout the track just prior to the race and report report back to the riders any areas of the course that may have changed due to the grooming.
Like the corner before entering, like after the big long straightaway at Mechanics Row, that corner's been watered substantially. And then also the corner coming into the finish line, the left-hand sweeper has also got a decent amount of water in it. So just be aware of that.
Unlike outdoor motocross circuits, Supercross tracks built inside Superdomes are very narrow. This makes it extremely difficult for the riders to pass one another. One of the most important factors in winning a final is the start. Just prior to a race, riders and their mechanics compact the dirt by their starting gate with their boots in an effort to get better traction off the start. It is also important that nothing obstructs the gate when it drops. It is the mechanic's responsibility to make sure that no rocks get in the way as it drops to the ground.
5 seconds.
P13 for Brady, P13.
With a weak start, Brady Sharon is in 13th place.
That triple, he's down. Going again or what?
No, he's kicking the bike. Here he goes. He's going now.
See what happens here. I don't think he's going to give up.
While Brady is riding strong in 13th position, Dusty has crashed but has managed to restart his bike and rejoin the race.
He's got to find a rhythm in this section here because this is where he crashed.
Brady has now found his rhythm and starts to move up in the field. Dusty has overcome his get-off and is now mounting a come-from-behind charge. Brady has moved up into 5th place, while Dusty is now held up in 7th. Frustrated by the slower lap riders ahead of him.
He's got a lot of really slow guys in front of him. He's had a really hard time getting around these guys.
At the finish, the team's MX2 results disappoint the pit crew.
Holman 3rd, Tremblay 4th, 5th Brady, 6th Dubé, 7th Dusty. 1 lap to go. Brady 6th, Dusty 7th. Bummer, but at least they're both safe. Well, let Dusty concentrate on this MX1 now. Good job, boys.
With rookie Brady Sharon finishing in a respectable 6th place in the MX2 final, and reigning Canadian champion Dusty Clatt finishing right behind him in a disappointing 7th, the Blackfoot team heads back to the pits to prepare for the main event, the MX1 final.
And then you're like pop to the next one.
get that out of your mind and get focused on the other thing, you'll be fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool? I'd pat you on the back, but you're pretty greasy right now.
I don't blame.
So unfortunately, it didn't work out as planned today. Brady got a good start. He was in, I think, 5th position and ended up finishing in 6th. So, you know, we went 6th and 7th. Obviously not what we came to do, but that's racing. And now we just kind of regroup and not think on it too much, because the more you think about it, the more you get your nerves up and the anxiety. So what we're just doing is, you know, moving on to the next race, which is the MX1, the big bike class, where Dusty's also in. So he showed in his qualifier that he's able to do it, get out in front and lead the race. So we're going to go back out and do it all over again.
The promotional team behind the Montreal Supercross have brought in some additional dirt-friendly sports in an effort to get the crowd pumped up. Some of the top freestyle motocross riders from across North America have dropped in to fire up the fans. However, the headline act, the event that everyone has come to see, is the 450cc MX1 Supercross Final. Finally, it's time for the main event, and emotions are riding high. With hundreds of thousands of television viewers watching from around the continent, and the future of the Blackfoot team on the line, the pressure on the entire team is off the charts. The riders and the pit crew know that the start will be the key to winning this race. And with only 15 laps to the checkered flag, there is no room for error. Effective communication through the pit board will be vital, and each rider will face their own personal challenges. Jimmy Nelson must come to terms with the raw power of his new 450cc bike. Dusty Clatt must regain his focus and put his 6th place finish in the MX2 race behind him. And Blair Morgan will have to gather up his years of experience in order to defeat the field of young, hungry riders. Sensing the tension, the seasoned pit crew attempts to lighten the mood and encourages the riders to enjoy this special moment in the Supercross spotlight.
Come on, you can do it. Crack a smile.
Stick your nose, stick your nose.
Oh, you're too professional. I'll get fired.
5 boards up.
In the MX1 final, Dusty Clatt gets a picture-perfect start and charges off into the lead. By contrast, Jimmy is struggling.
Where's Jimmy? What's Jimmy's position now? Drop way back here. Just tell Jimmy just to have fun. Blair's on it.
Meanwhile, the veteran rider Blair Morgan has settled into a comfortable groove and is solidly in 5th place.
Really good ride for Blair there. Some traffic coming up here that we're going to take care of.
As a charging Dusty Clatt starts to lap slower riders, there are several tense moments for the pit crew. They know that in racing, crashes often occur when faster riders attempt to pass less experienced, unpredictable competitors.
laps to go also, 2 laps to go. Fight back.
With 2 laps to the finish, Dusty Clatt still leads the field. Blair Morgan is in 5th, while Jimmy Nelson has been relegated to last.
Last lap playing out, guys. Last lap. Got half a lap to make this stick.
On this. That's a good paycheck for the boy. Good job. Hey, Slim. Boy. Good job. Dean. Good job. Way to go.
Good job, man. It's been a blast. It's been a blast.
The MX1 Supercross race is yet another victory for Dusty Clatt. Took the lead right from the drop of the starting gate and never looked back. Dusty finished with a 15-second lead over his nearest competitor by systematically turning lap times that were on average 2 seconds faster than any other rider. Meanwhile, Blair Morgan crossed the finish line in a respectable 5th place, while Jimmy Nelson's fall left him to cross the finish line last.
You rode well, so don't worry about it. Don't stress out. It's all good, man. You don't hold your bike. You can just go in and get changed. Don't sweat it, buddy. As long as you had some fun.
Jimmy had a learning experience. It was his first Supercross on a 450, so chalk that one up to experience. And yeah, congratulations to Blair for the 5th and Dusty for the win. It's a bittersweet feeling. You know, it's great to go out on top. It's definitely the end of an era with Blackfoot and Honda, but I choose to remain optimistic that somebody's going to pick up the team, and myself and my crew are highly motivated to ensure success for anybody that joins us.
How's that feel? Yeah. Yeah,
So good.
Exactly. Dude, you rode like a champ there, buddy. Perfect way to go out.